Chapter 9. The same Saturday afternoon was not at all happy for St. Petersburg. The Harpers and Aunt Polly's family were getting ready for the funeral. Other people talked little, but they sighed often. The Saturday holiday seemed a bad day for the children, too. They were not interested in games or sports. In the afternoon, Becky Thatcher found herself walking around the schoolyard and feeling very sad. She said, sobbing, "Oh, if only I could have that brass doorknob he gave me." Then she stopped and said to herself, "It happened right here. It was so bad of me to say that, and now he's gone. I'll never, never, never see him any more." This thought broke her heart, and she went away in tears. Then a large group of boys and girls appeared. They stood looking at the fence and talking of how Tom did so-and-so the last time they saw him, and how Joe said this and that thing. And each speaker showed the spot where the lost boys stood then, and then added something like, "And I was standing here, just as I am now. I was as close as that. And he smiled just this way. And then I felt something, like awful, you know, and I never thought what it meant. Of course, but I can see now." On Sunday morning, the whole town gathered in the church for the lost boy's funeral. Everyone was crying. There was no whispering. No one could remember when the little church had been so full before. Then Aunt Polly entered, followed by Sid, and then by the Harper family, all in black. The minister, as he was talking about the boys, drew such pictures of perfection that he started to cry himself. The people could easily see now how noble and sweet the boys had been. Finally, the entire church broke down in tears. Then suddenly, there was some noise in the gallery, which nobody noticed. A moment later, the side door of the church opened. The minister raised his eyes above his handkerchief and stood with his mouth open in surprise. First one, and then another pair of eyes followed the minister's, and then almost everybody turned around. The 3 dead boys were standing at the door. Tom was the first, Joe next, and Huck behind them. The boys were dirty, but perfectly healthy and happy. They had hidden in the gallery, listening to their own funeral service. Aunt Polly and the Harpers threw themselves on their lost boys and kissed them. Poor Huck stood there uncomfortable. He didn't know exactly what to do or where to hide from so many unfriendly eyes. He started to move away, but Tom seized him and said, "Aunt Polly, it isn't fair. Somebody has to be glad to see Huck." "I'm glad to see him, poor thing." But the kindness and attention of Aunt Polly made the boy more uncomfortable than before. Tom Sawyer the pirate looked around upon the other boys and felt that this was the best moment of his life. That day, he received more love and attention than his whole life. That was Tom's great secret, the plan to return home with his friends for their own funeral. They had crossed the Mississippi on a log in the evening and landed 5 or 6 miles below the town. They had slept in the woods not far from the town, and then came to the church and finished their sleep in the gallery of the church among broken benches. At breakfast on Monday morning, Aunt Polly was very kind to Tom. She couldn't stop talking. She said, "Well, Tom, I don't say it wasn't a fine joke. You boys had a good time, but how could you be so cruel and make me suffer for almost a week? If you could come here on a log to go to your funeral, why couldn't you come to me and give me a hint some way that you were not dead?" Well, I don't know," that wasn't the plan." "Tom, I hoped you loved me that much," said Aunt Polly in a sad voice. "Now, Auntie, you know I love you," said Tom. "I dreamed about you anyway. That's something, isn't it?" "It isn't much. A cat does that much. But it's better than nothing. What did you dream?" "Why, on Wednesday night, I dreamed that you were sitting near the bed, and Sid was next to you." "Well, we did. So we always do. I'm glad you could dream about us at all." "And I dreamed that Joe Harper's mother was here." "Why, she was here. Did you dream anything more?" "Oh, a lot, but I can't remember now. Please try, can't you?" "Somehow, it seems to me that the wind blew the... Try harder, Tom. The wind did blow something. Come." Tom pressed his fingers on his forehead a minute, and then said, "I've got it now. I've got it now. It blew the candle." "Go on, Tom, go on." "And it seems to me that you said, 'Why, I think that door—'" "Go on, Tom." "Just let me think for a moment. Just a moment. Oh, yes. You said you thought the door was open." "As I'm sitting here, I did. Go on." And then, well, I may be wrong, but it seems that you made Sid go and... Well, what did I make him do, Tom? What did I make him do?" "You made him... you made him close it." "Well, I never heard of that in all my life. Don't tell me there isn't anything in dreams any more. I'll go to the Harper's place now and tell Sereny Harper about this. She doesn't believe in dreams. Go on, Tom." "Oh, it's all getting very clear now. Next, you said I wasn't bad, but only irresponsible." "And so it was. Go on, Tom." "And then you began to cry." So I did, not the first time. And then Mrs. Harper began to cry, and said Joe was just the same, and she had whipped him for taking the cream when she'd thrown out herself." "Tom, that's impossible. Go on, Tom." "Then Sid, he said, "I don't think I said anything," said Sid. "Let Tom go on. What did he say, Tom?" "He said, I think he said he hoped I was better off where I was, that I had done some things. There, do you hear that? His words. And you told him to stop talking like this." "I did. There was an angel there somewhere." "And then you talked more. And then you and old Mrs. Harper cried, and she left. It all happened like this. And then what? Go on, Tom." "Then I could see you and hear every word you said. And you went to bed, and I was so sorry that I took and wrote on a piece of bark, 'We are not dead. We have gone pirating,' and put it on the table by the candle. And then you looked so good asleep that I went and kissed you on your cheek. Did you, Tom? Did you? I forgive you everything for that." And she seized the boy and kissed him, and that made him feel uncomfortable. "It was very kind, even though it was only a dream," Sid said. "Shut up, Sid. A person does just the same in a dream that he would do if he was awake. Here's a big apple for you, Tom. Now go to school. I'm glad to have you back. Go, Sid, Tom. I'm busy today." The children left for school, and the old lady went to see Mrs. Harper and tell her about Tom's wonderful dream. Sid said nothing as he left the house, though he thought, "It's a strange story. The dream is as long as that, and he remembers it without any mistakes."